Imagine this: you're standing in a dark room, feeling stuck, unsure of where to go. You fumble for a light switch, and suddenly, a spark ignites. The room floods with light, and everything becomes clear. That spark, that sudden transformation, is what your life is capable of every single moment. You don't need to wait for permission or a perfect plan. The energy to change is already within you, waiting for you to take control. And let me tell you something: the law of perpetual transmutation is your light switch. This universal principle holds the power to take your darkest struggles, your greatest fears, and your biggest dreams, and turn them into tangible, life-changing results. You see, energy is never stagnant. It's always moving, always shifting, always waiting for you to decide what to do with it. Introduction. Today, we're diving deep into the law of perpetual transmutation, a concept that's not just theoretical but practical. This isn't about wishing for change or hoping for better days. It's about understanding that the energy around and within you is constantly transforming, and you're the director of that transformation. Think about this for a second. Why is it that some people rise from unimaginable circumstances, poverty, heartbreak, rejection, and create extraordinary lives, while others stay stuck in the same patterns year after year? The answer lies in their ability to harness this universal law. Throughout this speech, I'll show you exactly how to use the law of perpetual transmutation to reshape your mindset, transform your actions, and ultimately rewrite your destiny. By the end of our time together, you'll not only understand this law, you'll be living it. Let's begin with the foundation. What does this law mean? Chapter 1: The Power of Energy in Motion. Let's start with a fundamental truth: everything in this universe is energy in motion. From the light that powers our planet to the thoughts running through your mind, energy is constantly moving, shifting, and transforming. The law of perpetual transmutation is the key that allows us to direct this energy into creating the life we desire. Here's where it gets exciting. You don't need to be a physicist or a mystic to understand this law. You just need to observe your own life. Think about a time when you were feeling down, maybe even hopeless. What did it take for you to shift out of that state? Maybe it was a phone call with a friend, a walk in nature, or even a song on the radio that sparked something inside you. That spark. That's energy in motion, and it's proof that you can change your state at any moment. Energy, the invisible force shaping your life. Energy is always flowing, whether you're aware of it or not. Picture this: a river rushing through a valley. The river doesn't stop moving just because there's a rock in its path. It flows around it, over it, or sometimes even breaks it apart. Your life is like that river. The energy within you doesn't disappear when you face challenges, it simply needs to be redirected. Now, here's the kicker: most people live their lives like that river, being dammed up by fear, doubt, and procrastination. They let obstacles stop the flow of their energy, and as a result, they feel stuck, unmotivated, and powerless. But the truth is, no obstacle is permanent. The law of perpetual transmutation reminds us that we can always redirect our energy to break through those barriers. Sarah's story: the choice to redirect energy. Let me tell you about Sarah. When she came to me, she was utterly drained. She was a single mom juggling 2 jobs, barely making ends meet, and she felt like life was an endless cycle of struggle. She told me, "Tony, I don't have any energy left to change my life." But here's what I told Sarah, and what I'm telling you right now: energy isn't something you find, it's something you create. The energy she was using to worry, stress, and doubt herself could be redirected into creating solutions, taking small actions, and building a vision for her future. So we started small. Every night before bed, she wrote down one thing she was grateful for and one action she could take the next day, no matter how small, to move forward. Within months, Sarah began to feel a shift. She started a side business, reconnected with her kids on a deeper level, and even found time to focus on her health. Today, she's running a thriving online business and mentoring other single moms. The same energy that was once trapped in fear and overwhelm was transformed into growth, passion, and purpose. The science of energy and transformation. Let's talk science for a moment. Einstein said it best, energy cannot be created or destroyed, only transformed. This means that the energy in your life is never gone, it's just waiting for you to decide what to do with it. Think about your thoughts. A single thought can feel small, insignificant, but it carries massive energy. If you dwell on thoughts like, "I'm not good enough" or "I'll never succeed," that energy begins to weigh you down. But when you replace those thoughts with, "I am capable," and "I'm taking one step today toward my goal," that same energy propels you forward. Releasing stagnant energy. What happens to energy when it's stagnant? Picture a pond that has no movement. Over time, it becomes murky, filled with algae, and loses its vitality. Now imagine that same pond with a flowing stream feeding into it. The water becomes clear, fresh, and full of life. The same thing happens in your life. When you hold on to limiting beliefs, grudges, or fear, your energy becomes stagnant. But when you open yourself to new possibilities, let go of what no longer serves you, and take consistent action, your energy begins to flow. Here's an exercise I want you to try. Identify one area of your life where you feel stuck. Is it your career, your relationships, or your health? Write down one belief that's keeping you stuck. Maybe it's, "I don't have time," or "I'm not smart enough." Challenge that belief. Ask yourself, is this really true? What's one small action I can take to prove this belief wrong? The momentum effect. Here's the beauty of energy in motion. Once you start moving, momentum takes over. Have you ever noticed how hard it is to start something, but once you're in the flow, it feels almost effortless? That's the momentum effect in action. I remember coaching an entrepreneur who was paralyzed by the fear of failure. He had a brilliant idea but couldn't take the first step. So I challenged him to take one small action, just one. He emailed a potential partner, something he'd been procrastinating for months. That one action led to a meeting, which led to a collaboration, which eventually turned into $1 million business. Momentum doesn't just happen, it's created by taking that first step. Chapter 2, Your Thoughts Are the Blueprint. Let's take a moment to recognize the sheer power of your mind. Your thoughts are not just passing whispers or background noise, they are the architects of your reality. Every thought you allow to take root in your mind lays the foundation for your actions, decisions, and, ultimately, the life you create. If you want to change your life, you must first change the blueprint, your thoughts. Think about it. Have you ever caught yourself saying things like, "I can't do this, I'm not good enough," or "It's just not possible for me"? Those aren't just innocent doubts. They're self-imposed limitations, walls you've built around your potential. And the problem with those walls is that the more you believe in them, the taller and stronger they become. Here's the truth: your mind is incredibly powerful, and it will believe whatever you tell it most consistently. If you feed it thoughts of scarcity, failure, and fear, that's exactly what it will focus on. But if you choose thoughts of abundance, success, and courage, your mind will start working to make those your reality. Take a moment to think about the people you admire most. Whether it's a world leader, an entrepreneur, or someone closer to home, like a mentor or friend, I guarantee you they don't walk around telling themselves, "I'm not capable," or "I don't deserve this." Instead, they choose empowering beliefs that guide their actions. They've made the decision to rewrite the story in their heads, and that's something you can do, too. Let me share a personal story. Years ago, I worked with a man named James. He had been stuck in a corporate job for over 20 years, hating every minute of it. He came to me saying, "Tony, I'm miserable, but this is just who I am. I'm not cut out to be anything more." I looked him in the eye and asked, "Who told you that? Where did that belief come from?" He paused, and after some reflection, he realized it came from a teacher who had once told him he'd never amount to much. For decades, James carried that belief as if it were gospel, letting it dictate his life. But here's the beautiful thing about beliefs: they're not permanent. They're just thoughts you've repeated so many times that they've become part of your identity. When James understood this, he decided to challenge that belief. He started telling himself a new story: "I have more to offer. I am capable of building something meaningful." That shift in thinking didn't just change how he felt, it changed how he acted. He began taking small steps to explore his passions. Within a year, he'd left his job and started a consulting business that not only fulfilled him but also allowed him to help others. The lesson here is simple: your thoughts are the seeds you plant in the garden of your mind. If you plant weeds, thoughts of doubt, fear, and negativity, you'll grow a garden of struggle. But if you plant strong, vibrant seeds, thoughts of possibility, courage, and abundance, you'll grow a life filled with opportunity and success. Now, let's talk about the mechanics of this. Every thought creates a neurological pathway in your brain. Think of it like a trail in the forest. The more you walk a certain path, the clearer and easier it becomes to follow. If you're constantly thinking negative thoughts, you're strengthening those pathways, making it easier for your mind to default to negativity. But when you consciously choose empowering thoughts, you're carving out new paths, ones that lead to growth, resilience, and possibility. This isn't just positive thinking, this is rewiring your brain. It's science. And it works. So how do you start? First, you need to become aware of your thoughts. Pay attention to the conversations you're having with yourself throughout the day. Are they helping you or holding you back? Are they focused on problems or solutions? Next, interrupt the negative patterns. When you catch yourself thinking, "I can't do this," stop and say, "No, that's not true. I'm learning, and I'll find a way." When you hear yourself saying, "I'm not enough," replace it with, "I am more than enough, and I'm growing stronger every day." Finally, reinforce the positive thoughts. Write them down. Say them out loud. Visualize them. Do whatever it takes to make them part of your internal dialogue. Because the more you reinforce them, the more they become your new reality. You might be thinking, "Tony, that sounds simple, but my thoughts feel so automatic." And you're right, your current thoughts are automatic because you've been thinking them for years, maybe even decades. But remember this, nothing is permanent unless you allow it to be. You have the power to break the cycle, to create new patterns, and to design a life that reflects your highest potential. This is where the law of perpetual transmutation comes into play. Your thoughts are energy, and they are constantly shifting and transforming. By choosing to direct that energy into thoughts that empower you, you're setting the stage for transformation in every area of your life. So, here's your challenge: over the next 24 hours, pay attention to every thought you have. Write down the ones that don't serve you, and then rewrite them into something that does. Don't just think about it, commit to it. Because the thoughts you think today are the blueprints for the life you'll live tomorrow. Your mind is your greatest tool. Use it wisely. And remember, you are always one thought away from a breakthrough. Let's rewrite the story together. Chapter 3: Emotion, the fuel that powers transformation. If thoughts are the blueprint for your life, then emotions are the fuel that brings that blueprint to life. Emotions give energy to your thoughts and turn them into actions, habits, and eventually, results. But here's the thing, just like energy, emotions are never static. They're always in motion, and the beauty of that is, you get to choose how to direct them. Let me ask you something. Have you ever felt completely stuck in a negative emotion, like anger, fear, or sadness? Maybe you woke up one day feeling hopeless, and that feeling colored every interaction, every decision you made. But then, something shifted. Perhaps it was a moment of laughter with a loved one or a memory that reminded you of your strength, and suddenly, your state changed. That's the power of emotion. It's dynamic, and it's always within your control to transform it. Now, let me share a story about a young man named David. When I first met him, he was consumed by self-doubt. He had recently been laid off, and he felt like he'd failed not only himself but his family. Every day, he woke up with a sense of dread, replaying thoughts like, "I'll never recover from this," and "I'm not good enough." Those thoughts fed his emotions of fear and shame, which kept him stuck. I told David something that might surprise you: your emotions are powerful, but they don't define you. They're simply signals pointing to what needs your attention. We worked together to shift his emotional state, and here's how we did it. First, we identified the emotion that was holding him back: fear. Fear that he wasn't capable, fear of judgment, fear of starting over. Once he named it, we didn't try to suppress it or ignore it. Instead, I asked him, "What is this fear trying to teach you? What message is it sending?" David realized that his fear wasn't an enemy, it was a call to action. It was urging him to step out of his comfort zone and take control of his life. Next, we used his body to shift his state. Did you know that your physiology is directly tied to your emotions? It's true. When you're slouched over, breathing shallowly, or avoiding movement, your body sends signals to your brain that reinforce feelings of lethargy or sadness. But when you stand tall, breathe deeply, and move with purpose, you instantly change the way you feel. So, I told David, "Get up right now and move like the person you want to become." He stood up, squared his shoulders, and started pacing the room with energy. That simple shift in his body led to a shift in his emotions, and from there, his thoughts began to change. He started telling himself, "I've overcome challenges before, and I'll do it again." Within weeks, David began to rebuild his confidence. He used his fear as motivation to pursue a new career path, one he'd been too afraid to consider before. Today, he's thriving, not because he avoided his emotions, but because he learned to harness their power. Here's what I want you to take away from David's story. Emotions are energy in motion, and they are the key to transformation. But you must learn to direct them, rather than letting them control you. When you're feeling stuck in a negative emotion, here's a 3-step process you can use. Name it. What emotion are you experiencing? Is it fear, anger, frustration, sadness? Be honest and specific. Reframe it. Ask yourself, what is this emotion trying to tell me? How can I use it to move forward? Every emotion has a purpose, it's up to you to uncover it. Shift your state. The other person was radiating negativity. This is why it's so important to surround yourself with people who elevate your energy. You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. If you're constantly surrounded by people who dwell in fear, doubt, or negativity, those emotions will rub off on you. But if you choose to spend time with people who are driven, positive, and growth-oriented, their energy will lift you up. Now, let's circle back to the law of perpetual transmutation. This law tells us that higher vibrations can transform lower ones. In the realm of emotions, this means that feelings like love, gratitude, and hope have the power to dissolve fear, anger, and despair. But it requires intentionality. Start by practicing gratitude. No matter what's happening in your life, there is always something to be grateful for. When you focus on gratitude, you're shifting your energy to a higher frequency, and that shift creates a ripple effect in every area of your life. Let's put this into practice right now. Close your eyes for a moment and think of one thing you're deeply grateful for. Maybe it's a person who loves you, a moment you're proud of, or even the fact that you're alive and breathing right now. Feel that gratitude in every cell of your body. Do you feel the shift? That's the power of emotion in action. As we move forward, I want you to remember this: your emotions are not your enemy. They are your greatest allies when you learn to understand and direct them. Let them fuel your transformation, and watch as your life begins to align with the vision you hold in your heart. Chapter 4, The Power of Belief, Transforming the Impossible into Possible. Now that we've covered thoughts and emotions, it's time to tackle one of the most powerful forces in shaping our reality: belief. What you believe shapes everything: how you see yourself, how you interact with the world, and ultimately, the results you achieve. In fact, your beliefs are the lens through which you perceive every experience in your life. If you believe something is possible, you'll find a way to make it happen. But if you believe something is impossible, you'll create a wall that stops you from even trying. I've seen this over and over again in my work. The difference between those who break through to greatness and those who remain stuck is not intelligence, not resources, but belief. If you can change your beliefs, you can change your life. Let's talk about a man named Mike. Mike was an incredible athlete, but he had one problem. He believed he could never reach his full potential because he wasn't born with natural talent, like some of the top competitors in his field. He told me, "I try my hardest, but no matter how much I practice, I always fall short. It's just not meant for me." At first, Mike's story seemed reasonable. It made sense on the surface. After all, everyone had their own strengths, right? Some people were born with natural talent, and others had to work harder to achieve success. But I pushed Mike to question this belief. I asked him, what if the problem isn't your lack of ability, but your belief in your lack of ability? Mike had never considered this. Like most people, he had bought into the story that certain talents were innate and that success was reserved for a select few. But here's the truth, beliefs are not facts, they are stories you tell yourself about what's possible. We started by uncovering the root of his belief. Mike believed he wasn't talented enough because he was comparing himself to others. He was measuring his potential against the wrong standard. I asked him to reframe his belief. Instead of, I can't do this because I'm not naturally gifted, we shifted it to, I am capable of achieving greatness, and I can improve through consistent effort and mindset. Mike began to train differently, focusing less on the gap between himself and others and more on what he could control, his effort, his mindset, and his belief in his ability to improve. Instead of seeing challenges as evidence of failure, he began to see them as opportunities to grow. And guess what happened? Mike's performance skyrocketed. Within a year, he was not only competing at a higher level, but he was also inspiring others with his story of transformation. What changed? It wasn't Mike's physical ability, it was his belief in his potential. Once he shifted his belief, his results followed. This is the essence of the law of perpetual transmutation at work. Mike's belief shifted his energy. The energy he once spent doubting himself was redirected into action, and that energy became the fuel for his success. Beliefs, like thoughts and emotions, are energy. They have the power to either propel you forward or hold you back. The challenge is to become aware of your limiting beliefs and replace them with empowering ones. But here's the catch, you have to do this consciously. You see, many of the beliefs you hold are unconscious. They were formed early in your life, often by experiences or things other people told you. If you were told as a child that you weren't good enough or capable, you may have internalized that belief and carried it with you into adulthood without even realizing it. These limiting beliefs become like invisible chains that keep you from reaching your full potential. I know this firsthand. Growing up, I didn't have much. We lived in a small house, and money was always tight. I remember my mother working tirelessly, trying to make ends meet, and yet, I internalized the belief that money was something I would never have. I thought success was reserved for those who were born into wealth, and for years, I believed that my background would limit my future. But one day, I had a realization that changed everything. I realized that the only thing standing between me and my potential was my belief about what I was capable of achieving. Once I realized that my belief was the true barrier, I made a choice to change it. I started to believe in abundance, in opportunity, in possibility. I began to take bold actions, make smarter decisions, and surround myself with people who lifted me up. That shift in belief is what allowed me to grow into who I am today. Here's the powerful thing, beliefs don't have to be complicated. You don't need to go to therapy for years to change them. It's all about awareness and choice. You have the power to change your beliefs in an instant. All it takes is the courage to ask yourself, what if I'm wrong about this? What if everything I thought I knew about myself is just a story? This is where you begin to rewrite your story. Every belief you hold can be reprogrammed. But it's not enough to just wish for change, you have to take action as though that new belief is already true. For example, if you believe you are worthy of success, then act like it. Take risks. Step outside your comfort zone. Speak up. Say yes to the opportunities that come your way. And here's something else you can do to accelerate the change in your beliefs. Surround yourself with people who believe in you, even when you don't believe in yourself. One of the fastest ways to shift your beliefs is to borrow the belief of others. When you surround yourself with people who see your potential, their belief in you will help you see it in yourself. The law of perpetual transmutation isn't just about energy, it's about transforming what you believe is possible. Your belief will create a ripple effect that will shape your thoughts, emotions, and actions. If you can change your beliefs, you can change the entire trajectory of your life. Now, I want you to think about one belief that's been holding you back. Maybe it's the belief that you don't have enough time, or that you're too old or too young to make a big change. Whatever it is, I want you to challenge it right now. Ask yourself, what if this belief is wrong? What if the opposite is true? What would I do if I believed that? Start shifting your beliefs today. Because when you change what you believe, you change everything. Chapter 5, Taking Inspired Action, the Bridge Between Belief and Results. So far, we've discussed the power of your thoughts, emotions, and beliefs, but there's one more crucial element that will make all of this come alive in your life: action. Without action, beliefs are just wishful thinking. It's your actions that turn the potential of your beliefs into the results you desire. Let me tell you something, the gap between where you are and where you want to be is always filled with action. It's not enough to sit back and wait for things to fall into place. The universe doesn't deliver success on a silver platter, you have to go out and grab it. But here's where most people get stuck. They think that action means doing everything at once, making huge leaps or taking extreme risks. But the truth is, taking inspired action doesn't mean doing more, it means doing the right things, with focus, and with intention. Let's look at Sarah. Sarah had a dream of starting her own business. She had the knowledge, the skills, and the passion, but she kept waiting for the perfect time to take action. She kept telling herself, once I have more money, or once I have more experience, or once I have the perfect idea. But the perfect time never came. Every day, her dream stayed just out of reach. One day, I sat down with Sarah and asked her, what is the next step you can take right now? I didn't ask her to come up with a 5-year plan or make a big investment. I just asked her to think of the smallest possible step she could take that would move her closer to her goal. After a moment of reflection, Sarah realized that the next step was simple: she could start by making a list of potential clients. By taking that first step, Sarah's momentum started to build. She didn't have to have everything figured out right away. She just needed to take action. And as she took more steps, no matter how small, they began to compound, and soon, her business was a reality. The lesson here is that action creates momentum. The more action you take, the more progress you make, and the more your confidence builds. It's a cycle of positive reinforcement. But you also need to ensure that your actions are inspired. Inspired action comes from a place of passion and clarity, not from a place of fear or doubt. When you align your actions with your beliefs, you move with purpose and energy. To take inspired action, ask yourself, what would I do if I truly believed this was possible? What's the next small step I can take today? How can I make my actions align with my highest values? When you take consistent, inspired action, the universe will respond. You will start seeing synchronicities, unexpected opportunities, and new connections that will guide you toward your goal. Chapter 6: The Power of Consistency, the Secret to Mastery. Here's a truth you need to internalize: success doesn't come from doing something once and hoping for results, it comes from doing the right thing over and over again. Let me tell you about John. John was an aspiring musician. He had the talent, he had the drive, but he wasn't seeing the progress he expected. For a while, he'd practice for a few days, maybe a week, and then he'd lose motivation. He'd tell himself, "I'm not good enough," or "I'll never make it." But one day, John decided to make a shift. He committed to practicing every single day, no matter what. It wasn't always easy. There were days when he felt discouraged, days when he didn't want to pick up his instrument. But he remembered this one key principle: consistency beats intensity. Over time, John's skill level improved, not because he worked harder in short bursts, but because he showed up every single day. Day after day, he built his mastery, and soon enough, he was performing on bigger stages, living his dream. This is the power of consistency. It's not about doing everything all at once or waiting for motivation to strike. It's about committing to showing up, even when it's hard. It's about taking small, steady steps toward your goal every single day. The key to mastery, in any area of your life, is consistency. Whether it's fitness, business, or personal growth, your success is a reflection of how consistently you put in the effort. Chapter 7: Overcoming Fear, Turning Doubt into Fuel. Fear is a natural part of the human experience. It's built into our biology. But here's the truth: fear is not your enemy. It's an indicator that you're about to step into new territory, to grow, and to transform. Fear is simply a signal that you are moving out of your comfort zone and into a new level of possibility. I want to share a powerful story with you about my own experience with fear. Early in my career, I had the opportunity to speak at a large event. I was terrified. I was worried about what people would think, about making a fool of myself, about failing. But I realized that fear was just a message. It was telling me that I was on the edge of something great. So, I did what I always do when I'm faced with fear: I leaned into it. Instead of running from it, I used it as fuel. I told myself, this fear is a sign that I'm growing. I'm about to give everything I've got. I took the stage, and it turned out to be one of the most impactful talks of my career. Fear is not a sign to stop, it's a sign to go. The next time you feel fear, don't resist it, embrace it. Ask yourself, what is this fear trying to teach me? What's on the other side of it? You'll find that the other side of fear is freedom, growth, and the realization of your full potential. Chapter 8: Gratitude, the Power of Perspective. Gratitude is one of the most powerful tools you have to shift your energy and create more of what you want in your life. Gratitude is not just about saying, "Thank you," it's about shifting your perspective to see the good in every situation, even the challenging ones. One of my most transformative moments came when I hit a low point in my life. I had lost a lot of money, and I was facing what seemed like an insurmountable obstacle. But in the midst of my despair, I decided to practice gratitude. I wrote down 5 things I was grateful for every single day, and slowly, my perspective began to shift. When you focus on what you're grateful for, you attract more of it. Gratitude turns what you have into enough, and it opens the door to even greater abundance. Practice gratitude daily, and watch how it transforms your life. Chapter 9, Failure, the Key to Ultimate Success. Failure is not the end, it's the beginning. Every great success story is paved with setbacks, mistakes, and failures. The key is not to avoid failure but to learn from it. Take Thomas Edison, for example. He failed over 10,000 times before he created the light bulb. When asked about his failures, he didn't see them as failures at all. He simply said, "I didn't fail. I found 10,000 ways that didn't work." Failure is not something to fear. It's something to embrace. Every time you fail, you get closer to your success. Failure is simply feedback that shows you what's working and what's not. Chapter 10, Creating Your Future, the Power of Vision. The final piece of the puzzle is creating a clear vision for your life. What do you want to achieve? What does your ideal life look like? The power of vision is that it gives you direction. When you can see your future clearly, you're more likely to take the actions that will bring it to fruition. Take a moment and close your eyes. Imagine your life 5 years from now. What does it look like? How do you feel? Who are you with? What have you achieved? Your vision is the compass that will guide you through challenges, doubts, and setbacks. Opportunity for growth. Closing. The law of perpetual transmutation isn't just a concept, it's a call to action. You have the power to turn your dreams into reality, your pain into strength, and your energy into greatness. So let me ask you, what will you do with the energy you've been given? Because the light switch is in your hands. Flip it on, and let your transformation begin. Call to action. Tonight, take 10 minutes to reflect on one area of your life you want to transform. Write down 3 actions you'll take this week to redirect your energy. And remember, transformation doesn't happen someday, it happens now.